Välkomna till Larmet går, ett nytt program i TV3. Jag heter Jan Wiesén, förste brandingenjör vid Stockholms brandförsvar. Och jag ska lotsa igenom det här programmet där alla berättelser bygger på verkliga händelser. Alla rekonstruktioner har gjorts tillsammans med de inblandade och alla 90 000 samtal är autentiska. Vi börjar den 17 december 1989 i Oregon i USA. I närheten av ett avverkningsställe i bergen. Temperaturen är på väg ner under nollstrecket.
It was the dead of winter. Friends since high school, mechanics Ken Murdoch and Ken Leppard had already been on the job for hours that morning.
We finished our work up there and decided we'd head for town. It was getting close to Christmas, and it was a really cold, misty day. I mean, the type of cold that no matter how many clothes you wear, it just kind of seeps right through you. We headed down the mountain and come to the gate down there.
Lep walked up, opened the gate, and I was sitting in the truck waiting for him to get back in. And I wasn't paying much attention, but he was out there for a few minutes.
I was fumbling with the lock, and as I was messing with it, I looked down over the bank there, and I seen this blanket. I kept glancing back at it and thinking, you know, yes, no, you know, go check it out, forget it. I almost left, and just something just said, no, go look at it. I reached out, and seeing the blood and everything, I didn't really know what to expect. But I thought to myself, if I've got to look at this, Ken does too. Come down here and tell me this isn't what I think it is. Fine.
I walked over the bank and saw the blanket down there. I didn't realize he'd been down and even looked at it. So I just walked down, opened the blanket up, and first thing I saw was a placenta and the umbilical cord all wrapped up there. At that point, I started to get real nervous about opening it up the rest of the way.
Neither of the Kens were prepared for what was inside when the blanket was fully unwrapped. A newborn baby.
When I first saw him, he was just all white and blue and didn't look like he was alive. So I jumped back up on the bank trying to hold my stomach down. I ran over and got on the radio and called the office. Told them that we needed a state police or the sheriff out there as fast as we could. We found something. I really didn't want to say over the radio what I'd found. I thought he was dead.
Police car or a sheriff's car up here as quick as you can.
911 emergency.
This is Sharon at Cascade Timber Company. I have a mechanic and some people up by the burn that was up at the lake. He just called in and he said to please hurry with a sheriff or a state policeman up to that gate that goes in. He's very shook up. He said they have found something.
Okay.
And he sounds extremely agitated, and I've never heard him that way before.
Lep told me he thought he'd heard something. He thought the baby was alive, so I ran back down the bank and checked him, and he moved one eyelid just a little bit, I think.
He's alive, Lep.
He was just like a piece of cold meat out of the refrigerator.
The blanket was soaking wet that he was wrapped in. He was froze stiff, and heck, I didn't know what to do. We were scared to death he was going to die on us.
Are you still there, Sharon?
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, Jesus, okay, will do. He said someone has dumped a baby out there. It's still alive. They need an ambulance.
They want to meet us somewhere along the line.
He said they're going to wrap it up if you want to meet him somewhere along the line. He said that baby's not going to make it much longer. They need an ambulance.
Okay, we'll get somebody out there, okay?
Thank you. Bye.
Emergency units were immediately dispatched. With each passing second, the baby's life was slipping away.
You could see he was really close to dying. First thought was to get him warm, so I stripped my coveralls off, took my sweatshirt off, and slid it underneath him so it'd be halfway dry.
We'll get him in the truck. We both looked at each other and said, let's not wait. You know, we can't wait. He's too close. So we just finally just picked him up and set him in the front seat of the truck and rolled the windows up and turned the heater up all the way, and on one hand telling each other, you know, well, he's going to be all right. And Ken kept telling him, you know, you're going to be okay, little guy, you know. And then in the back of our minds thinking, he's too far gone.
They headed for the hospital.
Both of us were just so scared that he wasn't going to make it. You could see just right on the edge. So I just kept talking to him.
You're all right.
Sheriff's Deputy Tom Johnson went to the scene.
It really hit home hard. Because here's a brand new baby. It appears the woman that had the baby possibly had the baby right there and then just wrapped it up and just discarded it, saw like so much baggage. I saw this pickup truck flashing its headlights up and down.
It's a newborn. He's not going to make it very long.
The baby's color was, he almost looked blue-gray. It almost didn't even look like he was alive.
Dispatch 31, of course, you have an ambulance response code 3. This is a brand new baby.
Ken just gathered the baby up and went around to the back of the ambulance, and they met him there, and they had to chase him out of the back of the ambulance. He was going to go with them.
You form a bond real quick with a baby like that. And you sit there and hold on to him so tight. I didn't want to put him down. It was a funny feeling, you know, like you just feel like he's yours. You know? Not something you want to just walk away and leave. Something you want to take home with you and hold him tight.
Paramedic Brian Gronke examined the newborn baby.
The baby was just white. It was so cold. We have hypothermic thermometers which go down to 84 degrees and they wouldn't even read on there. You couldn't get any pulses as far as like on his neck or on his arm or anything like that. I really didn't think he had a lot of chances.
12 miles away at the Merle West Medical Center, an ER team was mobilized, including pediatric nurse Barb Bjorky.
We did not assume it was going to be a baby that was frozen, was rigid, on death's door.
When we laid him down in the ER, hooked him back up to the heart monitor, and his heart had stopped at that point. And I think that was probably the most scary part, is when I first laid him down, I was like, it's over, you know, we've lost him.
Bye.
I couldn't even get his jaw open. He's just too cold.
There's no button. I don't hear anything. Let's go ahead and bag him. See if we can get him in the baby. Yeah, go ahead.
Dr. Trainer was next to me. We were suctioning the mouth, and she said, open the mouth. And I said, I'm trying. The baby was so cold. The jaw was rigid. Could barely get it to open.
Pediatrician Dr. Charles LeBouy was also called into the emergency room.
When I first got the call and was leaving the office, I told my office staff that I didn't think it would be very long before I would be back, because it didn't sound like this baby was salvageable. I thought the dear Lord would determine whether this baby was going to survive or not, and I just do my part.
At the scene where the two Kens found the baby, sheriff's investigators looked for clues to help them find his mother.
His rate's picking up a little bit.
By 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 hours after he had been here, the baby's temperature had made it to 94 degrees. He was trying to cry and just improved constantly. It was just truly a miracle.
Within a few hours, the baby was doing well enough to be transferred to the nursery and given a name, Benjamin Kenneth Forrest.
I left at about 3:30 and turned Benjamin's care over to the nurse on the next shift. And at that point, I looked down, I said, you're going to make it, Ben. I just know that you are.
I called the hospital, asked him if he was going to keep all his fingers and toes and everything, because he was awfully cold. And they said, is this one of the Kens? And I said, yeah. They said, well, You can come and see this baby 24 hours a day if you want to. They said, we consider you guys family. Of course, we got instantly attached to him. We both just fell in love with him. And the fact that we'd saved his life hadn't even really hit me yet.
I think it was about the third night when we were up at the hospital, and some women that had been up there several times visiting the baby, watching him through the windows. She walked up and asked me if I was one of the heroes, and I just felt like climbing under the nearest table. You know, that's not me. You know, you just do what you have to do, and you don't think of it in that text.
It was a Christmas Story kind of situation. We were preparing for Christmas, and here this baby from nowhere was brought into us. You could just feel the unifying force surrounding Benjamin.
In the true spirit of Christmas, the baby who had no family and nowhere to live received hundreds of offers from people who wanted to help. After 2 weeks in the hospital, baby Benjamin was adopted.
Christmas had a lot to do with it. As a matter of fact, when we were out being interviewed, they kept trying to put some religious ties to it. You know, do you think God had anything to do with this and everything? And Ken and I both kind of looked at each other, and then he said, no, but he said, it does make you believe in Santa Claus. I thought that was really cute. He's not cute, but that was cute.
Wishing for that Ferrari.
Baby Benjamin might never know the two Kens who saved his life, but the memory of him and the events of that cold December day will be with them forever.
Recently, I had a birthday, and we were talking about little Benjamin that day and hoping that he has a lot of happy birthdays in the future. I'm sure he will.
Tillsätt Uncle Ben sweet and sour sås. Rikligt med...
SOS-central är teknik som gör att när man ringer 90 000 och talar om från vilket telefonnummer man ringer, kan larmoperatören se varifrån den hjälpsökande ringer. På sikt kommer den här tekniken att medge att man inte behöver uppge ett telefonnummer, utan adressen kommer automatiskt att visas på skärmen. En teknik som naturligtvis är bra om den hjälpsökande inte själv kan förmedla sig, till exempel på grund av språksvårigheter. I USA finns redan den här tekniken, som vi här kommer att få se.
It was around 10:58 p.m. on July 19th, 1990. 911 dispatcher Amy Weidenkopf was nearing the end of her shift at the police department in Ridgecrest, California, when a call for help came in.
Emergency services. Emergency services. Emergency services.
All I could hear was a dog barking, and I thought I heard a woman whimpering, and then I got disconnected real shortly after that. As soon as I started dialing back, the 911 rang again, and I picked it back up.
Emergency services.
It was the same address, and at that point, I knew something was going on.
Hey, is one of you want to head out to 105 Cruises? 105 Cruises? Los Cruises? This is the third 911 call I've had from this place, and it's an open line every time. And I can hear a dog barking. Hello?
Police officer Randy Bias was sent to the scene.
On the 911 calls of that nature, where you have one or two hang-ups and then an open line, you have either a disturbance or a medical emergency.
Affirmative. I still got an open line. I can hear mumbling, but basically all I can hear is a dog chanting about right near the phone.
Officer Bias arrived within 3 minutes.
I like to get a visual on the house before I actually stop, so I drove past the house. It was all dark inside. Most of the blinds on the front of the house were closed, and the front porch light wasn't on. There there's always a possibility that there's a disturbance still going on, whether you hear anything inside or not, or if there was a female there by herself and it was possibly a burglar that had gotten into the house. She was able to call 911 and then she hid without talking on the phone. I went ahead and went to check the windows and to see if I could see anybody inside.
Hello?
A second officer, Rick DeMarco, who was already in the area, also responded to the call.
The dispatcher was telling us that she could still hear the heavy breathing and the phone being moved. So you're always thinking that somebody's in there still trying to get to the phone to call for help.
Hello?
After I came back around front and I checked with the neighbors, Officer DeMarco arrived.
No noise inside whatsoever.
I told him what I had found and what I believe could be possibly going on inside, and asked if he'd go around back with me and check the windows and doors once again and to look in to see if he could see anything that I had possibly missed.
And as we came around the back side of the house, the curtains for the master bedroom were open. And we noticed that the bedding for the master bed was messed up, and also that the master bathroom light was still on. So we figured somebody had been sleeping and they're feeling ill, went to the bathroom, and maybe had a heart attack or something like that.
Yeah, we need to get in there.
Before I heard some kind of mumbling that it felt like somebody was struggling with the phone.
Taylor, doing it 610-1, respond.
Helen, they want you to respond. Because now they can't get a response to the door, and it sounded like somebody was struggling with the phone when they first called. She probably wants you to come over there and fix the door in.
The officers were not allowed to enter the house without approval from their commanding officer, Sergeant Al Mitchell.
When you're responding to a call like that, you always want to get there as soon as you can in case there is a medical emergency that requires that you handle it in a timely fashion.
It sounds like right now somebody's messing with the phone, but I'm not getting an answer. Hello?
What do you guys got?
I think it's a medical emergency.
The dispatcher was telling us that she could still hear like a breathing, a heavy breathing, and the phone being moved.
This would seem to be the easiest one out of all. It's not as secure as the other one.
Yeah, let's go through that.
Affirmative. I can hear some sort of light movement going around the phone, but the dog is completely quiet. That was really barking a little bit ago. I can hear you ringing the doorbell.
With all the racket that was going on, because I could hear them beating on the doors and everything, trying to get somebody's attention, and all of a sudden the dog's quiet, that made me nervous, because I thought somebody's in the house, you know, that doesn't belong there.
Did you have any voices at all on the call?
Affirmative. I heard a female voice the first time it came around because it was an open line, and then it got disconnected, and then it ran back.
At 10-4, what was the time between the calls?
Maybe about 30 seconds to a minute.
Yeah, let's go through that door.
Information, looks like we're going to have to force the door. We got to possibly get medical or anything we can figure out.
That's affirmative. It's like somebody's hand keeps knocking the phone.
While I was trying to break down the door, there was always a sense that, you know, maybe it still is a setup. So you don't want to just break through the doors and fall inside, and because you'll be vulnerable to anybody who's standing there.
You feel somewhat safe when you're outside, but once you kick the door open, you have to follow through.
Ridgecrest Police Department, is there anybody in the house?
They're opening it themselves.
I was really scared for them, and I sort of panicked because I thought, I hope somebody gets on the air soon.
Are you there?
We check any place that someone could be hiding, bedrooms, bathrooms, closets.
all the cushions were turned up on the couch. I made an assumption at that time, I guess, that the people were probably out of town.
The house is clear.
Okay, Rick. Hey, Randy. What we got here?
Got the phone cord wrapped around him.
I guess he dialed 911.
Hi, Annie. Hi. I got to untangle his dog. He's going to choke to death.
Are you serious? Is that why you said that?
He's just about to choke to death. I got to get him out of the cord. I'm going to unplug the phone.
Okay. Bye.
When he told me what it was, you could tell he was laughing, and they thought it was really funny. And the fact that the dog had dialed 911 just made it even funnier.
I wish I had a dog that smart.
Oh, boy. We were unable to get the phone cord untangled in his hair and off of his neck, so we had to cut the phone cord.
Take a look at it.
I think she's okay.
Anywhere else?
The dog didn't even have any serious marks on it, little redness.
I don't see anything. It was tight, though.
This is the first time in my 17 years that I've ever encountered an animal or a dog having done the 911 dialing himself.
He probably walked next to the phone cord, pulled the phone off the counter, and in the struggle to get away, he wrapped the phone cord around his neck.
So we're down looking at this dog, and we're trying to figure out how this dog dialed 911. And then we realized the phone had to be an automatic emergency dial, or the dog must have stepped on it.
We're back to 27.
We're back to the 27th.
Yeah. Well, we have to leave them a note, because when they get home and see the door smashed, the phone cord cut.
I gave Sergeant Mitchell one of my cards, and then he wrote a note to the residents stating why we broke in their front door and the circumstances leading up to it and what we found and why their phone cord was cut.
Dear sir, sorry about your doors, but guaranteed your house was secured. We had our sergeant stand in front of your doors.
You see, he could actually sign it by printing your name, because he's leaving your card, so...
That's right, he's leaving my card. Wait a minute. We made sure the front door was locked so nobody else could get through, since we did have to break it in, and then walked out through the garage and made it secure, and that was it.
9 days later, Art Escobar and his family returned from their vacation to find that Buffy, their 15-year-old Lhasa Apso, had suffered no ill effects from her ordeal.
This dog is really, really pampered. She's well fed, well taken care of. She is part of the family. She's losing her sight, losing her hearing, and sometimes she tends to run into walls. But we thought we had taken all precautions to take care of her when we had someone coming over and checking the house and checking her and feeding her. Decisions, you can't make a decision, can you?
Even though they had to repair their front door, the Escobars are grateful to 911 and the Ridgecrest police officers who answered Buffy's desperate call for help.
If they hadn't come in and rescued my dog, I would think that my dog would have choked to death. I think she's got her own little guardian angel watching over her.
Got any phone calls to make, Buffy?
För att kunna lita på varandra uppstår en speciell gemenskap och starka band. Att dela faran föder en särskild sorts gemenskap. Det gäller världen över. Ibland kan det vara just den här kamratskapen som livet hänger på.
You work together, you fight fires together, so you have like a bonding, a strong relationship with everybody in the firehouse. And it's like one of your fallen comrades in a sense.
I grew up around the fire department. My dad was chief for about 6 years. That's how I really know John and my dad. I love him. I love him like a brother or father, really. But he's like a father to a lot of people here, I think.
When I used to come up here as a kid, I'd talk to him when he was working here, as I did the other firemen engineers. You know, just known each other for a long time.
John had been a New Canaan fireman for 30 years. Everyone in the department knew and respected him.
John was a close family friend, down-to-earth guy. He's there for you if you needed him. His cheerfulness around the firehouse, you know, made you feel, you know, like you belonged here.
At approximately 5:10 p.m. on May 21st, 1990, a call came in reporting a kitchen fire. Both full-time and volunteer firefighters were immediately dispatched.
The volunteers are dispatched through a paging network. Everybody carries a pager with them. They respond from their homes or from their jobs or social activities to the call of emergency.
"58-year-old John DePanny was driving the engine on that day.
We went out to the call. Everything was fine. We got through some pretty bad corners on North Wilton Road. He was driving along, and he took his foot off the accelerator. I thought he was going to turn down the wrong road. He reached over and grabbed his chest and fell over. I was able to pull the maxi brake. It had slowed the truck down dramatically, but we were still going towards a tree.
Couldn't figure out what was going on. First thing that went through my mind was something was wrong with the truck.
Johnny's down.
You hear that clear as day. Those 3 words, John is down. I think I'll remember those words till the day I die, probably. Just the way he said it. And then see him waving at me. I just knew it wasn't good. It was like everything was just going so slow. It was real weird. It's almost like a dream. I called on the radio, advised them that he's having a heart attack. I don't believe he's breathing. Tell the ambulance they're going to have to move.
I wasn't sure if it was a heart attack at that time or not. I didn't panic. Paul Carl came over to assist. I just kept talking to him, telling him, John, everything's going to be fine.
While I'm talking on the radio, I reached out my door and said, is he breathing? And Joe said, I believe he's breathing.
I looked down, I see Mr. DePanny laying there with 2 firefighters. And at that point, I said, wow, what's going on?
Ron DeMario was an EMT.
So I noticed diagonal breathing right away. I knew that he wasn't breathing. It sounds like he's inhaling, but all he's doing is just exhaling all the air that's left in his lungs. I was upset, I was part of me died right there on the scene. It's like your own brother, that's the fireman thing. It's like they're all brothers and we all stick together type thing. I called full cardiac and started CPR.
It's really scary. I've done it before on people. Now it's somebody that you know, somebody that you're close with. A lot harder.
I don't really know how to explain what I felt. I saw a friend that was dead.
Assistant Fire Chief Jack Van Dusen had known John all his life.
We saw Johnny lying on the ground. His ears were blue. His throat was blue. We had to try and do what we had to do to get him back. I've known John all my life. I just couldn't believe it. There was 1,000 things going through my mind. And one of them was, oh my God, this is the way my father died. Why does it have to happen to me, that, I have to be here going through this? It just brought back a lot of memories, of my father and what, we went through the night that he passed away. And it was like reliving that night being with Johnny on the side of the road.
As I'm looking down at John, I'm saying to John, everything's going to be fine. You're going to be fine. I look over at Fred, and he's crying. And I just look back at John, and I didn't give up. I still thought my mind, everything was going to be fine, that he was going to come out of it. And that's all I kept in my mind. So it was pretty emotional.
Margaret Donaldson, who is an EMT with the ambulance corps, arrived with her oxygen unit. By using the oxygen, what I was, hoping is to make sure that there was no damage going to be done to the brain.
The closest ambulance had only basic life support equipment, so an advanced life support unit was sent from Norwalk Hospital, but it was 10 minutes away. Firefighters continued on to the scene.
You're hoping and praying that things are going to work out, and you just don't stop. You keep going.
Johnny can do it. Breathe, Johnny, breathe. Come on, Johnny, hang in there. Al, I want the defibrillator now.
The first piece of equipment to arrive next to me was the defibrillator. I knew CPR was doing its job, but I needed to try to, if you will, jumpstart Johnny's heart by sending an electrical current through his heart.
Okay, stop CPR, please.
John was lying there, his eyes were still wide open. When he shocked him, I never saw the effect of what happens. And your body actually jumps off the ground, so to speak. And that was a tough thing to see because I never saw that before.
Hot damn, we got a pulse. Good, John,
Our main goal now, let's get him packaged on the backboard in the ambulance, and let's boogie.
You know, everybody had tears. There was a lot of tears.
Once we were inside the ambulance, the defibrillator, it analyzes and constantly monitors the heart. Looked at the monitor, I checked for a pulse. Pulse was gone.
He's back in V-fib, start CPR.
I knew that at that point we were again losing Johnny. I felt like, why? I just couldn't believe, we had him and now we lost him again.
Pressing the shock. Come on, Johnny. No pulse. Press and analyze. Slow V-fib, stand back. Come on, Johnny. Come on, Johnny. Nothing. Come on, Johnny. Come on, Johnny.
Once the third shock was administered, our last option was get him to the paramedic intercept.
I mean, I cried for an hour straight. I just cried and cried and cried. And I thought, he's going to die. Somebody I've known, and he died right in front of me, I figured.
The first ambulance met the advanced life support unit halfway to the hospital, where paramedics took over John's care.
Both of us pulled over to the side of the road simultaneously. It made it more difficult to know that the other rescuers who were there knew him personally. And it put a bigger burden, I think, on all the paramedics who were there and the EMTs. We looked at the monitor, and it showed V-fib, or ventricular fibrillation, which is a heart that, in essence, has stopped and is not perfusing.
I got V-fib. CPR. I'm going to try to pound at 360.
When we saw him in ventricular fibrillation, we knew that he needed to be shocked right away.
Due for a pulse. Flatline. Okay, I got nothing here. Come on, Johnny. Come on. CPR again. Come on, hold up. I got a rhythm. Okay, it's up here. I got a pulse. I got a rhythm again. He's converted. Oh, right. Yeah. Come on.
I was ecstatic, a big sigh of relief. And I'm saying, come on, Johnny, you can do it, you can do it.
It takes a long time after someone is resuscitated before they really are out of the woods, and he was far from out of the woods.
On the way down, you could tell Johnny was reacting better. You could feel him, he was squeezing your hands. There was just like, my God, he definitely got a chance.
When John arrived at the hospital, he was still unconscious. No one knew how serious his heart attack would turn out to be.
At that point, we knew that he would be alive for a couple hours at least, but we didn't know if he was going to go on after that and how much damage was done to the heart, whether it had stopped, or muscle damage, tissue damage.
When I left, I knew Johnny was going to at least pull through. How long, I didn't know. I had left the hospital feeling that he's in the best hands and that he will pull through. And here we are, you know, he pulled through.
Within a month, John DePanny had recovered from his sudden death heart attack. He's still on disability and plans to retire. In October, he and Linda Kennedy were married.
It took a little while to sink in what happened, but as every day goes, I realize really how fortunate and lucky I was.
A woman told me one time that when you wake up in the morning, you should be happy that you're alive. And so many people just wake up and they just go to their jobs every day and they don't think about, this could be my last day, you know? I think John thinks that now, too.
So you talk about Jack and you talk about Mike. I knew them when they were little boys. If they didn't know what they were doing, I wouldn't be here today.
I think we're all closer. We all shared in this moment of saving a life. It's so fragile. So fragile. 1 second you're here, and 1 second you're gone.
The whole CPR thing and, you know, working together, everybody just clicking right in, I think saved his life.
How you doing, Mike? How you doing, kid? Yeah, Jack. How you doing, buddy? Yeah,
Just knowing that I was a part of it, and I helped, I did what I could do. It was a wonderful feeling.
When the 12 o'clock noon whistle goes
I mean, just seeing him walking around and enjoying what I call his second life. I mean, that means everything in the world to me. He was there when I needed him, when I was 13, and my father died. It just so happened that in return, I was there for him.
Curtis med sina 2 barn ut och julhandlar i Phoenix, Arizona. Julhandeln är som vanligt stressig och bökig. Men på vägen hem i bilen inträffar något som ger dem en ny syn på julens magi.
It was a couple of weeks before Christmas, and we've been Christmas shopping, and we was on our way to the mall to see Santa, and they was really happy about this.
But 5-year-old Stephanie and 4-year-old Jamie were also getting hungry.
We went to a drive-through. I do have a rule that we don't eat in the car, but the kids were so excited about seeing Santa, I let them. So we was on our way to the mall, and on the way, we stopped at the stoplight, and all of a sudden I saw this tostada up on the floor. I was really upset. I thought he just threw it down, but I realized Jamie was choking. He wasn't making no sound. He was gasping for air and had tears in his eyes.
When he was choking, it looked like he was holding his neck and
So I reached over Steffi, hitting him on the back, trying to get through this lodge, and it just wasn't working. I was so scared. I panicked, and I didn't know what to do. And in the van next to me, the man asked me if there was a problem.
Yeah, my son's choking.
And I grabbed Jamie out and tipped him upside down, hitting him on the back.
Give him to me.
And this guy, he grabbed Jamie and pushed his stomach in. It turned out to be Santa.
He dislodged the food, and Jamie started crying. I realized Jamie was okay when he started crying and making sounds. I had tears in my eyes, and I could even hardly get the word thank you out. And he just got in his van and drove away. And we just drove off in our separate ways. I was so shaken up. I didn't realize the man was Santa until my daughter asked me why Santa was driving the van.
She said, why was Santa in the van going where? And I said, he's going to the North Pole to get his reindeer. We didn't get to thank Santa or anything. He got in the car and left. And we turned around and went home.
I really wanted to thank him. So the next day I called the newspaper and asked him how I would go about putting an ad in the newspaper to locate a Santa Claus that helped my little boy out.
Stories about the mystery Santa were picked up by the local media, including radio station KNIX.
Just then, a stranger dressed as the jolly old man himself jumps out of a van, performs the Heimlich maneuver, clearing Jamie's throat and allowing the boy to breathe. Then Santa hops back into his sleigh, a rather van, and drives off. His name? Who knows? Well, I'd like to know. It's now 7:56.
Gail Long was well acquainted with the Santa they were looking for.
I've known him for between 15 and 20 years. We're good friends. And knowing him like I do, I knew that he would never tell anyone else because he is a type of a man that does not like to blow his own horn. So I called the radio station and told them who he was.
Word spread quickly. 1 week before Christmas, a special visitor came to see Jamie's family.
Merry Christmas!
Jamie's a pretty shy little guy. I had to almost pull him out from behind the door.
Hi, buddy. Come here, let me see you. Come on. You remember seeing me the other night?
Jamie thought it was really something because Santa Claus made a special trip here to the house for him.
I said thank you because he saved my brother's life.
I'm very grateful to him for being there. If it wasn't for him, I probably would have Jamie to this day.
Here. Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas, everybody!
That year, the spirit of Christmas touched the Klaus family in a very special way.
Oh, look what old Santa has for you kids. And Jamie's one with the green. Stephanie gets one with the green.
He's a very warm and cheery guy. It seems like he loves the children.
Do you like Christmas time?
I had Jamie go buy him a gift because Santa never gets gifts. I thought, well, for a change, Santa should have a gift this time.
Is this for me? Thank you.
Jamie's a little more open now with Santa Claus.
I've got a collection of coffee mugs at home.
Santa saved me. I never thought I was going to meet Santa like that.
Jamie still goes around telling a lot of people that Santa Claus did save his life.
What grade are you in?
Makes me think that I have done something, you know, for humanity. Who knows what Jamie may grow up to be. And because I was there, maybe he's had that chance to grow up to be something.
Ringer du 90 000 är samhällets alla resurser beredda att hjälpa till. Men ibland beror det på dig om ett liv ska gå att rädda. Lär dig första hjälpen. Nästa vecka är vi tillbaka med fler verkliga berättelser i Larmet går.
Efter pausen sänder vi nyheter och en väderrapport och därefter ett nytt avsnitt av vår brittiska komediserie Ja visst, herr minister.
Välkomna till ledningscentralen vid Stockholms brandförsvar och ett nytt program i serien Larmet går. Jag heter Jan Wisén, förste brandingenjör här i Stockholm. Larmet går, det är programmet där vi rekonstruerar verkliga händelser där livet står på spel. Ikväll börjar vi med ett svenskt reportage om en händelse som väckte stor uppmärksamhet när den inträffade. Det var den 5 januari i år som sportflygaren Hannes Estra var på väg hem till Sverige efter att ha besökt Tallinn under dagen. När han tidigare på morgonen tankade sitt plan på Tullinge flygplats utanför Stockholm så hade han varit mycket noga med att fylla på tillräckligt med bränsle för att det skulle räcka för hela resan. Men på väg hem inträffade det omöjliga. Cirka en halvtimme innan landningen på Bromma tog bränslet slut och planet började förlora höjd.
Tidigt på eftermiddagen den 5 februari i år ska Hannes Östra som så många andra gånger flyga till Estland. Han är medlem i Botkyrka flygklubb och den här gången har han hyrt ett enmotorigt plan av typen Tobago. Hannes Östra har haft flygcertifikat i 1,5 år och han har sammanlagt flugit i över 140 timmar. Väderrapporten den här dagen visar på bra väder och allt går enligt planerna. Efter att ha träffat några vänner på flygplatsen i Tallinn gör han sig klar för att flyga tillbaks till Sverige.
Och sen så lämnar jag in nya färdplaner, färdhandlingar som behövs för överfarten. Kontrollerade vädret i Sverige, det var utmärkt. Jag hade börjat skymma, mörkna lite, tyckte bra. Då får jag mörkerträning också, eftersom jag har mörkercertifikat också. Och startade normalt, fick min angivna höjd, 5400 fot, 1800 meter. Och tyckte att efter jag gjort mina kontroller, parentes, jag hade kontrollerat tankar och allting på Tallinn och kontrollerat dem mot bränslemätarna också, ansåg att allting var okej och bränslet skulle räcka. Sen när jag hade flugit över Estland, närmat med västsidan på Hioma, Ösel som det heter på svenska, så skiftade jag över till högertank och då började jag se att tankmätaren, oroväckande snabbt började sjunka ner. Jag tyckte att det var lite för snabbt, det var inte riktigt normalt. Kommit ännu en bit på väg så kom jag in i Stockholms FIR kontrollområde, ropar upp Stockholm Kontroll. De svarar, jag säger att jag kommer på färdplan från Tallinn och har den och den höjden. De säger fortsätt på den höjden, frågar om jag har transponder. Jag har fått en transponderkod ifrån Tallinn, ge dem transponderkoden. De svarar radarkontakt. Då vet jag att de har mig fullständigt under kontroll, höjden är godkänd. Jag bekräftar att jag fortsätter på höjden. Så börjar jag närma mig Sveriges kust. Då skiftar jag över, då har tankmätaren höger tank redan börjat sjunka ner mot rött. Då är vi något orolig. Skiftar över till vänster tank men ser att det är gott om bränsle, det ska räcka. Ju närmare jag kommer kusten, desto mer oroad blir jag, för tankmätaren sjunker mer och mer neråt den röda. Och till slut så är jag tvungen att skifta över tillbaks till höger tank och då har jag redan rapporterat till Stockholm Kontroll att jag har bränslebrist.
Stockholm Kontroll från Gustav Philips Access.
Ja, kom Philips Access.
Jag har ett allvarligt problem. Jag har slut på bränslet i ena tanken och den andra är på rött.
Ja, hur lång tid tror du att du kan...
Har du bränsle kvar då?
Ja, jag har ingen aning. För den andra var precis vid röda streck och då började jag lägga av motorn här ute och då fick jag igång den igen. Nu är den helt nere i botten.
Jag har ingen aning.
Ja, Philips Access, jag ska vidta åtgärder. Styrkurs 300 så länge.
Ja, tack. 300. 19. 45.
Sefil.
Ja, det är Ivar på Sefil.
Jag tror att vi har ett nödläge. Det är flygplatsen ligger ost om Alola som har ont.
Flygledaren på Arlanda larmar genast flygräddningen som finns i samma byggnad.
Ja, det var på kvällen som vi fick ett anrop från kontrollcentralen här nere att ett flygplan utanför Nämnde hade bränslebrist. Och det var ett enmotorigt flygplan som kom från Tallinn och det skulle vara 2 man ombord. Vad vi gjorde i det läget var att vi kallade ut Visbybesättningen på den flygvapnets räddningshelikopter nere på Gotland och larmade sjöräddningen vad som var förestående. Vi misstänkte att han skulle få besvärligt att ta sig fram till Bromma som hans destination.
Berra, vi har ett nödläge. Sidor Erik Filip, Gustav Filip kryss, Sokata.
Uppgifter från Tallinn sa först att det skulle finnas 2 personer och sen 5 personer ombord. Något som senare skulle visa sig vara helt felaktigt.
Flygräddningen? Flygräddningscentralen här. Vi har ett litet flygplan med bränslebrist i Stockholms skärgård. Starta snarast och gå mot Nämndö. Ropa mig på kortvågen.
Grabbar, det är start omedelbart. Flygplan haveri, Nämndö, Stockholms skärgård.
På Visbys flygplats finns en räddningshelikopter med personal som är i tjänst dygnet runt. Klockan är 10 minuter över 8 när de lyfter mot sitt mål ute i skärgården. Fyra av kustbevakningens båtar ger sig också ut för att leta rätt på det försvunna flygplanet.
Och vi börjar sökningarna. Klart slut, SKQ5, 105.
Eventuellt de första skären börjar skymta borta. Stockholm syns tydligt med Nackamaster och allting föröver. Och då stannar motorn helt enkelt. Vänstertanken också tom. Då rapporterar jag motorbortfall.
19, 46 och 40.
Sigurd Erik Gustav Virus Axel, jag har motorbortfall.
Virus Axel, jag tar ditt läge här på radarn. Tror du att du kommer att gå ner på havet eller?
Virus Axel, ser du några ljus därifrån du är nu?
Ja, jag ser ljus före. Jag ska se vad jag kan komma.
Virus Axel, ja, ser du land alltså? Jag förmodar land, ja.
Vi ansåg att vi behövde ha en läkare med oss. Då gjorde vi en landning i lasarettsparken. Då var Lena redan klar, stod där. Och sen tog vi in henne i helikoptern och for iväg mot den position vi hade fått.
Samtidigt som räddningen är på väg påbörjar Hannes Estra sin nödlandning.
Och Philips Access här på Arlanda.
På Bromma så är vinden nordvästlig ifall det är till någon hjälp om du ska gå ner någonstans. Ja, vi får se vad jag hittar.
Och då följde vi flygplanet ner till cirka 180 meters höjd. Där tappade man flygplanet och positionen då var sydost om Nämndö.
Efter ett kort tag har jag aktiverat nödsändaren. Ser en ö glimma förbi under. Då har jag tänt landningsstrålkastaren redan. Satt ut ett steg klaff, precis som för en normal landning. Ser en vik som jag anser lämplig. Trycker ner flygplanet. Hon kasar. Lägger sig ganska kort tag till rätta. Vippar över på nosen. På ungefär en decimeter med vatten som spolar över rutan, frontrutan. Och med en nigning så sätter hon sig till rätta. Och stöten är inte alls stark. Jag är helt oskadad. Det är ingen kraftig inbromsning eller liknande. Utan en liten puff och sen står man stilla. Så att det var en helt kontrollerad nödlandning.
I 15 minuter sitter Hannes Estra kvar på flygplanet. Sen börjar det att sjunka. Han beslutar sig för att försöka simma till land, en sträcka på minst 200 meter. Vattnet är nollgradigt och det blåser 14 sekundmeter. Dessutom har han bara ett par tunna byxor, lågskor och en vanlig jacka på sig. Armarna och benen tappar snabbt känseln i det iskalla vattnet.
Kommer fram till stranden. Klippan är för hal, för brant, jag kommer inte upp för den. Då kravlar jag med simkravlar runt klippan, kommer upp på kullriga, vassa stenar där jag skaver upp benen fullständigt, vågorna slår mig mot dem också. När jag lyckas kravla upp, kommer upp på klipptällen en 8-9 meter, då är krafterna totalt slut.
Först söker helikoptern i ett område som är 9 kvadratkilometer stort utan att hitta Hannes.
Vi låg väl där, har jag för mig, till framåt 21:55 när de hade räknat ut en annan nedslagsplats på flygplanet. Och bad oss gå dit och börja söka i en ny kvadrant som var något mindre. Den var 2 distansminuter.
Där det inte går att gå med fartyg, va?
Mm. Då satt jag med min strålkastare på högersidan och försökte att söka lite längre ut ifrån helikoptern så här. Och helt plötsligt så förnam jag att det var någonting vid sidan av.
Klockan är 10 minuter i 10 på kvällen när Hannes sen hittas av helikoptern. Då har det gått 2 timmar sedan han nödlandade. Läkaren Lena Kjellander och en ytbärgare vinschas ner till Hannes som i det närmsta har frusit ihjäl. Terrängen och det dåliga vädret gör att helikoptern inte kan landa.
Ja, han var frusen.
väldigt kall. Vi försökte röra armar och ben och försökte flytta på honom lite grann, men det gick inte. Han var helt frusen och han reagerade inte när vi pratade med honom. Det gick liksom inte att få någon kontakt med honom. Jag tror inte att han var egentligen medveten om vad vi höll på med. Utan vi fick med stor möda försöka lägga honom ner där. Och i och med att han var så stel och hade suttit så länge så gick det nästan inte att räta ut honom på båren. Samtidigt som räddningsaktionen pågår har Hannus fru blivit orolig eftersom han inte har hört av sig.
Ja, strax efter 10 då visste vi att det skulle komma nyheter och tänkte jag titta på väderleksrapporten. Och precis när jag satte på nyheterna så var det första meddelande jag hörde där då att ett elmotorigt plan från Tallinn till Bromma hade störtat vid Långviksskär. Då förstod jag ju direkt att det var Hannus. Eftersom vi seglar mycket och jag vet vad vatten är så vet jag att man klarar sig inte i Östersjön med en sån här temperatur som är nu, så jag trodde han var död.
Svårt nedkyld men vid medvetande förs Hannus i ilfart till Huddinge sjukhus. Det tar 10 minuter tills han tas om hand av ett läkarlag på intensiven.
Och så bestämdes det då att han skulle föras direkt från vår helikopterplatta till intensivvårdsavdelningen utan att passera akuten. Eftersom det ändå var uppenbart att han skulle till intensiv. Då tog vi av honom de här våta kläderna han hade och la på honom filtar och så tog vi en temp. Det första vi tog var under armhålan och då hade han 29,6 där. Då drog jag i och för sig en lättnadens suck för då visste jag att han i alla fall skulle ha över 30 grader mer centralt och att han skulle på det sättet vara ur den värsta riskzonen som är under 30 grader.
Men eftersom flygräddningen fortfarande tror att det finns 4 personer kvar i vattnet åker de tillbaks till nedslagsplatsen vid Långviksskär. Någon timme senare när Hannus Estra har vaknat upp igen avbryts sökandet.
Läkaren gick in och pratade med honom och kom tillbaka och sa att han bekräftade att han var ensam ombord. Och sedermera så fick vi det bekräftat ifrån Tallinn att det var bara en man ombord. Men det tog väldigt lång tid innan vi fick det ifrån dem. Vi borde ha fått det långt tidigare.
Så vi avbryter hela aktionen. Tack för hjälpen. Okej, hej då.
Jag tror att det tog ett par timmar när då Mattias då, min äldsta son, ringde igen till polisen. Och då ser jag honom bara ta upp handen och skrika ja! Så här, och då förstod jag att pappa var hittad då.
Då kände jag bara glädjen liksom. Jag tänkte så här, okej, jag ska inte få hoppas för mycket. Men jag bara tänkte, han lever. Och då var det så här, yes!
I onsdags bärgades planet av kustbevakningen och haverikommissionen. Vi tog med Hannes ut till platsen. Ombord på planet fanns hans dokumentportfölj med viktiga papper. Planet ska nu undersökas för att man ska kunna reda ut varför bensinen tog slut. Hemma i villan på Värmdön har livet återgått till det normala för familjen Estra. Men den svåra olyckan till trots tänker Hannus Estra flyga igen.
Jag vill upp så snart som möjligt. När jag känner att högerbenet bär ordentligt, då ska jag upp igen.
Något som hans hustru Ret inte har mycket till övers för.
Jag tycker inte om det. Men å andra sidan så vet jag att han älskar att flyga och han måste få göra det han vill. Och så får jag väl hoppas då att det kan inte hända en gång till. Någon liknande händelse. Det är vad jag hoppas på. Men jag tror att det kommer vara ganska pirrigt när jag vet att han flyger igen.
Hannus Estra saknade överlevnadsdräkt. Och i en sån här dräkt så hade han haft betydligt större chans att klara sig. I det kalla vattnet är risken nämligen betydligt större att frysa ihjäl än att drunkna. Och i den här dräkten så håller man värmen och förblir torr. Efter pausen är vi tillbaka med fler räddningsoperationer i Larmet går. Alla vuxna vet hur viktigt det är att känna till 90 000-numret. Ringer du dit så måste du vara beredd på operatörens frågor om vad som har hänt, vilken adress det är och vilket telefonnummer du ringer ifrån. Enkla frågor som kan vara livsavgörande. Ju mer vi får reda på, desto snabbare kommer rätt hjälp till platsen. Det här avsnittet som vi kommer att få se nu visar hur viktigt det är att även barn känner till 90 000-numret.
On July 29, 1990, in El Cajon, California, dispatcher Debbie Barker began her shift at 6:30 a.m.
We normally get disturbance calls and audible alarm calls and that type of thing. Barking dogs, loud parties, and kids playing on the phone. But there are times when we get the calls that are completely different.
Emergency operator.
My dad's scaring me. He's talking weird.
Okay, how old are you?
6.
Are you there alone with your dad?
No, they're divorced and my dad's talking weird. Please come quick.
Okay, are there any weapons in your house?
No.
You live at 558.
And when she said, my daddy's scaring me, he's talking weird, right then and there I had no idea, but I knew we had to get somebody out there now. I didn't care what the problem was at this particular point in time. Because of the emotion in her voice, I knew she was genuinely scared.
What's your dad's name?
Frank.
Frank what?
Sechner. Franklin Sechner.
I received a radio call, reference a little girl calling on 911. She said her dad was acting real strange.
Officer Fred Van Every was sent to the scene.
What's your name?
Megan.
Megan Sechner?
And Sechner.
Is your dad drinking today or anything?
No.
I didn't know if her dad had been hitting her and she had snuck away to call. He maybe was chasing her. I had no idea.
Where's your mom?
She's at my grandma's house in Temecula.
Okay.
I feel like I want to walk home.
Okay, well, why don't you just stay on the phone with me and we're going to send someone to talk to you, okay? Does your dad know you're calling us right now?
No.
Okay. Is he in another room?
He's in the same room that I am.
Okay, he doesn't realize that you're on the telephone with me?
He does.
He does? But he just doesn't know who you're talking to? Okay.
I just want to walk home.
Okay, well, we're going to send an officer to talk to you and make sure you're all right, okay? How old is your dad?
We try and keep probing and asking and trying to get them to talk a little bit more rather than just freeze up.
Please come quick.
We will. Just, Megan, try and calm down just a little bit, okay? We're going to have officers on the way to your house in just a couple minutes, and they should be there very shortly. Okay, but I want you to stay on the phone with me until we get there, okay?
Okay.
Okay, try and just calm
He's
down.
drilling.
Yes, what?
Please come quick.
We will. What did you say he's doing?
Drilling.
Drilling? What is drilling?
I don't know.
You don't know what drilling is? You just know he's drilling, but you don't know what that is?
Yeah.
Is he fixing something that's broken with a drill?
No.
Does he have
He's on the couch.
He's on the couch? Is he awake?
Yes. Please, I want to get off the phone.
Megan, you know, why don't you try and talk to me just for a little bit more, okay? Is he watching TV? We have officers on the way there right now, okay?
You know, I have children of my own, so I can understand when children are scared, you want to try and empathize with them. But she wouldn't elaborate on what he was doing to scare her.
What does drilling mean? Like, is he asking you a bunch of questions? Is that like that?
No, he's just like saliva.
Oh, drooling. He's drooling. Does he need an ambulance?
Yeah, I think so.
You think he needs an ambulance? Stay on the line. I'm going to transfer you to the paramedics. Don't hang up, okay, Megan?
Fire medical emergency.
I explained the situation to them, told them we were already on the way, but I was still going to keep her on the line with me until we got there.
Medical aid, unknown problem. Channel Heartland for truck 6, medic 62.
Rescue units from the El Cajon Fire Department were dispatched to the scene without any further information on the problem.
On the way to the call, you're always thinking about what it could be. We weren't sure what we had.
Okay, Megan, don't hang up, okay, honey?
You can talk to her, please.
Yeah, I'm going to keep her on the line. Megan?
What?
Okay, we're going to send a paramedic to check on your daddy and make sure he's okay, okay?
I want my mom.
Okay, I know you want your mommy, and I know you're really scared right now, but you're doing a really good job, and if you can just stay on the phone and talk to me for a couple of minutes, that'll be great. Okay, Megan, if you hear somebody knock on the door, I want you to go answer it. It'll be one of the officers coming to see you and make sure you're okay, all right? You did a really good job. You know, that's really great that you called when you were worried about your dad and when you were scared, and that's what 911's for. Okay? Okay, sweetheart.
I want to hang up.
I know you do, sweetheart, but I would really appreciate it if you could just talk to me just for a couple more minutes, okay? What's your daddy doing right now? He's just sitting on the couch? Okay. He doesn't have any, like, beer bottles.
Within 3 minutes of the call, Officer Van Every arrived on the scene.
Has he been drinking anything at all? Like, does he have a glass of water or anything? He's there? Okay, you answer the door. Don't hang up, okay? Just leave the phone off the hook.
What's the matter with him? I don't know. Sir, wake up, sir. I thought he was dead when I first got there. His eyes were closed, and he was laying still, and I couldn't really see any respiration at that time.
I wanted to see the policeman because I knew he would help my daddy.
I checked his pupils, which were unresponsive. I tried to shake him, wake him up and talk to him, and got no response.
Fire department EMTs arrived soon after the officer.
Frank, can you hear me, sir? What do you got? I don't know. He's got a saliva.
What's his name?
Frank.
Frank.
Not
Frank.
responding.
Can you understand me? Frank.
The little girl's real scared, real worried about her dad.
Cougar, you get the DP, I'll get the O2. Gotcha.
She had no one really there to support her except strangers.
Within 2 more minutes, the advanced life support units got to Frank Sechner's apartment.
Okay, we got a medical alert tag here.
What's it say?
He's diabetic.
Get you a pulse in a minute here.
As soon as we arrived, truck captain was relaying information. You know, we have a diabetic. He's unconscious right now.
DP, I got the O2. I got 100.
49-year-old Frank Sechner was in a diabetic coma. Paramedic Dave Rickards and his partner took charge of his care.
When we first came through the door and saw Frank, it looked like he was in a deep unconscious state.
Nope. He's unresponsive to painful stimuli, Dave.
We noticed Megan over on the side, and she was terrified because she didn't know what was happening to her dad.
Yeah, that's what his medical alert tag.
Okay, did you find any insulin in the refrigerator?
I checked.
We went ahead and did a blood glucose analysis, and that told us that his blood sugar was real low. In fact, Frank's blood sugar was so low it didn't register on our machine at that point. Frank's condition was pretty serious.
Okay, Dave, I have an IV established with a 18 gauge to the left AC.
It's got sinus tack without activation.
Okay.
Let me have that blood glucose, and I'll go ahead and start that.
We went ahead and gave him some dextrose. And what that does is kind of like a large loading dose of sugar. And it goes right to the brain and starts the brain's functions back.
Okay, D50 is on board.
Frank, can you hear us yet?
He's got some eyes are fluttering there.
As he was coming out of his unconscious state, we're beginning to ask him, did you hurt anywhere? What day is it? And he was a little slow to respond at first. He was still a little on the disoriented side, but after a few moments of awakening, getting some more juice into his system, he was able to answer all our questions. He was back to normal.
Less than 10 minutes had passed since the first help arrived.
When he was aware of his surroundings, he was thinking, hey, where's my daughter?
You okay? Well, your daddy's all better now. Would you like to go up and talk to him?
Okay,
Let's
Megan.
go up and talk to him.
You go with him, Megan. He's going to be real fine, okay?
When Megan saw her dad, she just lit up. We let him know that, yeah, Megan was the one that saved her life.
Good job, Megan. There you go,
My partner, Bob, went down and got a, what we call a comfort teddy bear. And once she saw that her dad was okay, I think the teddy bear kind of clenched it for her, and she felt safe at that point.
Pretty special.
Frank Sechner is alive today thanks to his daughter Megan. and his former wife, Lynn, who taught their little girl how to call 911.
I was just really grieved that I wasn't there when she needed me. That was my first reaction, was that I hadn't been there and she had gone through something really horrible by herself. Then I felt just a real pride that she had done what she needed to do to take care of herself and to save her dad.
Putting anybody through an experience like that is just, it just tears at your insides, you know. It's just something that you don't want to put anybody through, especially a child, especially your child.
Even though I was scared, I was happy when the lady answered the phone. All parents should teach their children to call 911.
She did something that was just very, very special. She's a hero.
I USA ringer man alltså 911. Men här i Sverige är ju telefonnumret 90 000. Efter pausen berättar vi historien om polismannen vars liv förändrades totalt i samband med ett vanligt rutinuppdrag. Att arbeta på en trafikerad väg innebär alltid fara, även för räddningspersonalen. Det är inte alltid det räcker med varningsskyltar och påslagna blåljus. Ett vanligt rutinuppdrag kan bli fråga om liv och död.
Found an accident involving a flatbed tractor trailer truck and a smaller type vehicle. The small vehicle was pretty much underneath the flatbed portion of the truck. The situation was hazardous for both myself and the vehicles up there.
Sergeant Pat Chilla was the first officer on the scene.
There were vehicles passing me at a high rate of speed on both my right and my left. So we start setting up a flare pattern to protect the scene.
Officer Gary Hanulik was helping to control the traffic.
Headquarters notified me on the air to tell me to go qualify. We had our shooting program that was taking place.
Veteran Lieutenant Jim Pucci arrived to take Officer Hanulik's place, laying down warning flares on the roadway. The non-injury accident had occurred on a 3-lane stretch of highway, reducing traffic to 1 lane and speeds to under 10 miles an hour.
I've known Jim Pucci for approximately 15 years. When I became a police officer, we became friends, and we've been friends ever since. I left the scene and proceeded up to headquarters.
I knew of Jimmy as I was growing up in the town. Jimmy was one of the guys you kind of looked up to and wanted to be like.
A police detective from the next town over, Dave Piero, was on his way back to headquarters.
I was returning from Riverside, Connecticut in my department's unmarked detective car, and I was returning to the village of Portchester, New York. I observed a vehicle and sharply veered in front of traffic towards the police cruiser. I had seen the impact, and I saw the police cruiser being thrown.
Get me back up in an ambulance now.
I got out of my car and saw that there was a police officer in the trunk of the car. I looked into the trunk, and I realized that he had lost his left leg. He was obviously in shock. His face was pale white.
Look at me. You'll be all right, Jimmy. You'll get some help.
I began talking to the police officer, telling him that, you know, he's not going to die and that he is going to be okay.
The words that he kept repeating really hit home. Here's a guy that I really admired, and he's asking me not to let him die. There was no doubt in our minds that if we didn't get Jimmy to the hospital quickly, that he wasn't going to make it.
An urgent radio call about a cop down brought Officer Hunulik racing back to the scene, along with other officers in the area.
I had no authority there. I just yelled out that we can't wait for this. We can't have a funeral in this trunk. Let's get this man out of here. We picked him up, laid him on the ground. I took off my belt, wrapped it quickly around to act as a tourniquet.
The medic unit was not in sight at this time. So we made a decision to put him in a police car and take him to the hospital.
The trooper at this point gave Officer Panza the box that had the severed portion of the leg in it.
Let's go, come on, kid. Let's go. You're all right, buddy. You're gonna be all right. Hang in there.
When I saw that car driving away, I knew there was only moments between life and death. I felt like someone had reached into my body and was pulling my heart out.
Officer Paul O'Gorman had known Jim Pucci for more than 25 years.
I remember Jimmy saying things about his family and that he didn't want to die. I just told him to hang in there and we'd have him at the hospital soon enough and not to worry about anything.
While Jim Pucci was being rushed the 1.5 miles to the hospital, a member of the force was sent to notify his wife, Diana.
My daughter said there was a police officer there to see me, and I saw Chucky Smith, and he just looked sad, and I knew something was wrong. He said that Jimmy had been in an accident.
Within 5 minutes, he arrived at the hospital, where a trauma team immediately went to work to try and save his life. Dr. Kevin Conboy was at the hospital that night for a meeting.
The initial assessment was that he had an amputation of the one leg, that he had had chest wounds with probable fractured ribs, which is impeding his respirations. He had a fracture of the right arm. He was also having a tremendous amount of abdominal pain, which questioned whether there were internal injuries there at the time. Our major concern was the amount of blood lost. We had estimated initially that he probably had lost close to his total body volume. He showed tremendous fighting power, wanting to stay awake. He was aware of the degree of trauma to his body. The situation was extremely critical. He was aware of it.
I remember saying, I don't care about his leg. What else is wrong? What's threatening him? Is he going to die? And they wouldn't answer me.
We knew we had a long, stormy course ahead of us, not knowing what his lung status would be in the days to follow, what his kidney function would be in the days to follow.
The surgeons were unable to reattach Jim Pucci's leg. They were not even sure he would survive.
The doctors came in and they asked me how I was and if they thought I was able to talk to Jimmy. And I said yes. So I did go in and I talked to him. I was just so nervous. I kept saying to myself, don't get hysterical. You can't get hysterical. I didn't go home. I spent almost 2 weeks sleeping at the hospital. I came home long enough to take a shower and go back in time to talk to the doctors. The nurses kept saying to me, you have to go home. You have to go home. And I said, I'll go home when you tell me my husband's going to live.
When I got there, I was really scared. But I didn't cry when I walked in. I was really strong for my father, and I could feel that he was being strong for us, too.
Jim Pucci was hospitalized for 8 weeks and underwent months of physical therapy to learn to walk with an artificial limb.
I think one of the major factors that pulled me through this ordeal is my love of life. I've always loved life, and I want to live life to its fullest.
I knew that if he had enough strength to live through the accident, he would have enough strength to go back and do the things that he wanted to do. he wasn't going to let this ruin the rest of his life. He had too much pride to let that happen. Our family has always been close. I think that this accident has brought us a lot closer because we've had to learn to deal with some letdowns and help our father along the way.
This is something that'll it'll be with me for forever. But just thank God Jimmy's here with us.
1 year after the accident, Jim Pucci returned to work on the police force part-time.
I guess it's natural to say, why me? Why did it happen to me? But I'm so happy to be alive. I look at every day after that fateful night as a gift.
Det finns bara ett sätt att som bilist göra miljön för de som arbetar vid en trafikerad väg säker och undvika nya olyckor. Det är att sänka farten rejält när man ser att en olycka har inträffat. Efter pausen så berättar vi om lilla Denise, knappt 2 år, som föll ner i en tvättmaskin. Den farligaste miljön för barn är hemmet. Det är där de flesta olyckor inträffar. Det kan räcka med ett ögonblicks ouppmärksamhet, en tillfällighet, för att olyckan ska vara framme. Och en vanlig vardagsmorgon förvandlas till en mardröm.
It was early Tuesday morning. Gail Rollerson was beginning to get ready for work.
The 3 older kids were in the living room watching TV, and Denise was in the adjoining family room playing with toys. I started the wash and waited till the washer was filled with water. Every single morning at 8 o'clock, I took a shower, and the other kids went to the bus stop at 8:10. As soon as it was done filling up, I said, I'm going to take a shower now.
Watch the baby.
And no one was specifically in charge of watching the baby. It was just something that I did it every morning. It was like a routine thing.
Her husband had already left for work, but Gail was confident her 3 older children could look after 18-month-old Denise. Gail was in the shower for less than 10 minutes.
I saw Denise's chair by the washer, and it's never over there. It was like something come over me, and there was something telling me that something's wrong.
My mom just freaked out. I mean, she did not know what to do at all. And I called 911. My brother ran to Carlin's. She just looked dead.
Horton.
The call for help came in at 8:11 a.m.
Okay, how old is the baby?
I was home in bed, sleeping. The next thing I knew, Jeremy was just rapping on the windows and called me to come over to the house that something was wrong.
Carlin Korb rushed next door to help. From 3 miles away, paramedics also headed to the scene.
From the time a patient stops breathing and the heart stops, between 4 and 6 minutes, brain death begins. After 10 minutes of not having CPR done, there is essentially no chance of bringing them back.
I just knew I had to do it. I didn't know if I could do it right, if it would help, and I just started doing the CPR.
Carlin had not taken a first aid course in years.
It's like at first I couldn't remember how to do it, And then I started doing it and pushing on her chest and breathing into her mouth, and then I remembered that you had to tilt the net back. I didn't know if she was going to make it or not. Her skin was all bubbly, and it just looked like different colors, like blue and real deep pink, and her eyes had a very far away look. I remember talking to Gail and telling her to try to calm down, and she kept saying that it was her fault. And I kept saying, no, it wasn't, you know, it was an accident.
Within 9 minutes of the call for help, paramedic Tim Munson and EMT Greg Sorensen got to the Rawlinsons' house.
When I first arrived on the scene, the mother was hysterical. When you see a child just laying there lifeless, it scares you.
She was cyanotic. Cyanosis is the discoloration of the skin, usually blue in color. It's brought on by lack of oxygen. Most of the time, when you see something with that much discoloration, that much cyanosis, you know, chances of bringing it back are almost non-existent. The thing that kept her viable was the neighbor doing CPR. That's what spans the time. She was not only sending the blood around the body by doing the compressions, but she was also breathing for the baby.
I picked her up myself and did mouth-to-mouth out to the truck, because by that time we had had a pulse.
I felt helpless. Like there was nothing I could do. It was already too late.
Okay, bag.
We didn't know how long she had been under the water in the wash machine. We don't know if she had brain damage or not.
If you can hear me, squeeze my hand, Denise.
Her color started to change within just a few moments of when we started breathing her.
Matt, I'm ready to get out of here.
It felt like someone died in my family. I don't know why. It just felt like someone died, and I just kept on crying and crying.
11-year-old Tracy blamed herself for the accident.
I felt guilty about what happened and everything. I was the oldest. I was the one that was supposed to be responsible of what is going on in the house when my mom's not around.
At the local hospital, Denise was examined by Dr. Hamid Gundabda.
She was unresponsive, like in coma. She was not breathing on her own. I was almost sure that either she was not going to make it or she was going to be mentally retarded if she did make it.
Dr. Gundabda decided to airlift Denise to Shands Hospital's Pediatric Intensive Care Unit 200 miles away in Gainesville. There she was treated by the director of the unit, pediatrician Sal Goodwin.
Denise, when she first arrived at our hospital, she was in a deep coma. Unquestionably, the biggest problem in a near-drowning patient is the degree of brain injury that has occurred as a result of lack of oxygen. In this situation, the odds are very much against a good survival.
Dr. Goodwin was forced to prepare Gail and her husband Dennis for the possibility that their baby daughter might never come out of the coma.
Well, she's a very, very sick little girl. There was a sudden point in the conversation where you could see that Denise's mother realized what was happening. That all of a sudden this healthy, happy 18-month-old who'd never had a problem in her life was on the verge of dying.
I didn't know what to say. I mean, Gail really, took it real hard. When you see someone like that, it was just, you're helpless.
I couldn't hold her. She wasn't awake, but I still had to be there. And I felt like she knew I was there.
For 2 days and 2 nights, Gail stayed by Denise's bedside.
I felt real guilty for what had happened to Denise, because I was the one here. I should have been the one responsible for it.
Next morning, got up, walked over to the hospital, and little Denise yelled out, "Daddy!" It's like was, fine. I mean, not that she was fine, but she wasn't in a coma anymore.
When she came out of it and she recognized every one of us, then I knew there was nothing wrong with her. She had a favorite blanket she called a Lala, and that's the first thing she wanted was her Lala. So I knew she was all right.
Denise was hospitalized for a month with a serious lung disease caused by the laundry detergent she had inhaled. 3 years later, she is completely recovered.
I think the neighbor, if she would have been there, we would have had nothing to work with. Absolutely nothing. Without the neighbor, the child would probably be dead now.
It makes me feel good, that she is alive because of what I did. Learn CPR. That's the only lesson I can say. Anybody that lives near water or pools or has children should know it.
Prevention is the name of the game in near drowning. Keeping an eye on children and putting fences around the pools with self-closing, latching gates to know basic CPR.
It was very scary. I almost drowned.
It's a miracle. I don't know how to explain the feeling I had. It was just like the greatest feeling you could imagine. They say miracles don't really happen, but miracles do happen. I saw one.
I don't wash clothes anymore.
Ibland är skillnaden på liv och död bara några minuter. Då hinner inte ens vi fram. Då hänger det på dig om ett liv ska gå att rädda. Lär dig första hjälpen. Larmet går är slut för den här gången. Nästa vecka är vi tillbaka med fler svenska och amerikanska reportage hämtade ur verkligheten. Se oss då.
Oh, help! Harry's in the shower! If Lady walks in here and finds him, she'll kill us!
Grannar, imorgon klockan 19.30.
Och nu TV3s nya programserie Larmet går.
Välkomna till Vällingby brandstation och ett nytt program i serien Larmet går. Programmet där vi rekonstruerar verkliga händelser där livet hänger på en skör tråd. Jag heter Jan Wisén, förste brandingenjör här i Stockholm. Ikväll berättar vi historien om en 7-årig svensk pojke som gjorde en verklig hjälteinsats. Vi visar också ett reportage om en brand som tvingade en man att fatta ett livsavgörande beslut. Och vi berättar historien om en våldtäktsman som fann sin överman i en liten pojke. Men vi börjar med en verkligt otäck historia som till största delen bygger på autentiska bilder. Och jag vill varna för att en del scener är mycket starka.
It really had been a nice, quiet race.
Bob Bachman was in charge of the EMS units that day.
We had 12 ambulances dedicated just to the track itself, not counting the grandstands.
Suddenly, car 95 spun out of control and started the worst crash in the race.
They put out the caution flag. When they yell caution in a race, that's when everybody gets their vehicles ready to move.
But before rescue crews are allowed on the track, Watchtower Commander Jim Bachhoven has to give the signal that it's clear to move.
We got
a caution. We got a caution in 4.
I started looking around the racetrack to see if the cars were slowing down before I started to send any emergency equipment. It looked like to me everything had gotten pretty well slowed down where it should be. I had a crew on top of the tunnel, which was only about 100 yards away from one of the cars.
He's down there to that wrecked car right there in front of you.
EMT Mike Staley and paramedic Ken Elliott were stationed near the crash.
Once we got that clearance, we headed towards the first car that seemed like it had been damaged in the accident. We pulled up to what we felt was a safe location, still on the grass, and Mike hopped out, went over to the car, and his duty is to assess the driver, make sure that the driver is alert and oriented. Our routine is to maintain eye contact so that the person remaining with the ambulance can bring any type of equipment that would be needed.
Michael was thrown approximately 25 feet through the air. He looked like a rag doll.
The driver Mike had been helping passed out at the scene. Rescue workers rushed to aid both of them and the critically injured driver trapped in car 95.
When I first got out of the ambulance, there was no doubt in my mind that I was going to find Mike dead. I could smell flesh burning, and his left arm was pinned up under the exhaust manifold. I've known Mike for 13 years, and it was a very gut-wrenching experience.
Mike is one of my best people. He's a good EMT. But I really couldn't believe that it had happened.
He had serious burns of the arm, left forearm in particular, abrasions, bruising. And under these circumstances, I had to be concerned about the potential for a brain injury.
And you want the helicopter. Okay, helicopter guy.
I had the most sickening feeling I think I've ever had in my life, that this was real serious and he may not live. And then I kept asking myself if I did the right thing on getting him down the hill as quick as I did.
The driver that Michael was treating went down, so we had to send somebody to him.
But that driver was not seriously injured.
We estimated that the car that hit the car that he was standing next to may well have been going in excess of 160 miles an hour at that time.
Let's get some oxygen on him.
In our profession, we don't actually see the incident happen. This time I was sitting roughly 50 yards from it, and it was somebody that I know and are very good friends with, and it was very hard.
The medical helicopter was stationed only seconds away.
He had a very badly comminuted compound fracture. What that means is the fracture was open, and the bones were now exposed to the dirt on the ground, and to some extent the burns suffered by the heat of the impact.
We cut his pants off and put the mask suit on in anticipation of possible internal injuries. I'd often wondered in my 21 years of working EMS how I would react if someone who was close to me were injured and I would be the one to render the aid. I was able to carry out my function as a paramedic professionally in taking care of someone who had been like a brother to me for so many years.
While another rescue crew tried to get the critically injured driver out of car 95 and stabilized, Mike was packaged for the first helicopter transport. Dr. Steve Levine was supervising.
The most fascinating thing was how regimented Mike was at the time of his accident. Although he knew he had been badly hurt, he had his wits about him enough to be able to tell me what was bothering him and responded very, very appropriately to the questions that I asked him.
Once we got him belted onto the backboard, I was making eye contact with Mike to reassure him, and he reached out and grabbed my hand and let me know that he understood what was going on.
Troy Wilrick was the helicopter paramedic.
I've known Mike for a number of years. He's always a very outgoing person, easy to get along with. When we knew that he was the one that was hit, it made it that much tougher to try to be able to work on him and keep your emotions down and deal with that later.
There's not too many circumstances that this would ever happen again anywhere, that within 17 seconds of the injury, you would have a trauma surgeon, a respiratory therapist, and 5 paramedics to the patient in 17 seconds. It doesn't happen.
Once I received him in the helicopter, he started to wake up and now would respond to me. I said, Mike, can you hear me? Once he looked at me and said, Troy, okay, I know who you are, it was a sigh of relief that he was not critically injured, but serious.
The driver of number 95, who had been trapped in his car, subsequently died of injuries suffered in the crash that day. But Mike's life was spared.
Having witnessed the accident, I was amazed that he was going to survive. The fact of the matter is that he's extremely lucky. There's no question about that.
Mike arrived at Halifax Medical Center with 2 broken legs, 2 smashed kneecaps, 2nd and 3rd degree burns, and a left arm so badly destroyed, doctors feared they might have to amputate.
He needed immediate attention to this arm, requiring irrigation and cleansing of the wound and stabilization of the fracture.
He wanted to make sure before he went into surgery that somebody was with his mother, and so I told him that I would go stay with her in the waiting room until he got out of surgery.
When I first saw him, he was wrapped in blankets, and it was very scary. He knew me and seemed to be alert, and he said, "Don't worry, Mom, I'm going to be all right."
Take a couple of breaths for me.
The doctor said that he had repaired the arm and that he thought that he'd have 100% use of it.
I never felt a black shadow of death over me. I only tried to absorb the positive thoughts of the people wanting to absolutely do their best for me so I would live. If I lost my arm, I would have lost my career in the fire service.
Mike's battle to recover was aided by an outpouring of support from his community.
The fact that the elementary school students remembered firefighter Mike when I introduced a life-saving program called Learn Not to Burn just made me feel great. Receiving cards from friends that I made at the National Fire Academy 8 years ago and said, we're praying for you, Mike. We're thinking about you. Huh?
For 5 months, Mike spent nearly 6 hours a day in physical therapy under the guidance of Randy Thomas.
He had an incredible attitude. He told me that he expected 110% out of me. He said, I'm not unreasonable. If you're having a bad day, 103% will be fine. But other than that, that's what he expected. And he has certainly given 110% every day. I've never once worried about whether he would recover or not. I know he will. He has too much desire. The indomitable human spirit is alive within him, so I have no questions about his recovery.
I think that we are all struck by the degree that he was motivated to go through this process and to not dwell on what had happened to him.
8 months after the accident, Mike Staley has succeeded in healing well enough to lead a fairly normal life. And his mother, Josephine, is very grateful.
I do think it's a miracle. He's a hard worker. If he's going to start something, he's going to finish it. And I think he's honest. And he's very loyal to his friends.
I'm looking forward to the day that Mike can come back to the Speedway and function in his old capacity. The seat's still open.
for him to occupy, and I'm sure that he will someday. I don't think that this incident has deterred him because he has that helper-type attitude and personality.
The scariest moment was not having control of my life. Instead of taking care of someone and providing them the best quality of life possible, now the roles were reversed. I'm a patient.
With injuries this serious, Mike's dreams of returning to work in fire and rescue may be too ambitious. He may never recover enough mobility to pass the fire department's rigorous physical exam, but he refuses to give up.
My primary goal that I have every day is to work out to be even better than I was prior to the accident, to be able to pass the physical agility test with our department, and to do that, I'm working out 110% to be back on the job, to give that best to my community.
Efter pausen berättar vi om 7-årige Roger Aun från Nora. En verklig hjälte.